Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live with Vince and Taylor. I am Vince Russo. This is the beautiful, smart, intelligent, vivacious, glowing, shining, brilliant Taeler Hendrix. Taylor, that was 7 adjectives. Next week I'm going to have 8.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Wow, what a marvelous introduction that was.
Now, Taylor, I got to ask you a quick question. Is that
Yeah.
you? Is that you on that T-shirt?
Yes, this
Oh,
is one of
show,
my
show
t-shirts.
everybody. That's beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, this is one of my t-shirts. I had so much fun designing my Taylor Hendrix t-shirts. Yeah, this is such a cool one. I love it. I'm like tearing
That's
my
such
face
a.
off.
That
It's
is
cool.
such a. Though when I look at that, I admit like that almost looks like a '60s throwback. Colorful piece. Love. I love that. Now, where can people get that?
ProWrestlingTees.com/Taylor Hendrix. I actually, Vince, it was really cool. I actually had a t-shirt that was a top seller a few years back. It was like myself, the Young Bucks, and a Macho Man and a Stone Cold shirt. And I thought, oh wow, what a crazy cool group to actually, be along with. It was pretty
That is
cool.
that is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And I would assume you got a bunch of different shirts at Pro Wrestling Tees, correct?
Yeah, yeah, and they all have like a really cool vibe. Like when you look at them, you go, "Oh, that's a Taylor Hendrix shirt." And I don't know, I really love that branding. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, this is the show where Taylor and we talk about pop culture. We're both big fans of pop
Yes.
culture. Two completely different point of views. I am old. Taylor is young. I am male. Taylor is female. But we both love pop culture. So we're going to be talking about the
Yes.
latest today. I want to remind you guys, man, as you join us, if you are enjoying this show, please feel free to cheer. Feel free to throw a super sticker, a donation. We hold on. I forgot to put us on Twitch, so I'm trying to get us there right now, Taylor. So we will be live on Twitch and YouTube. Now we are live on Twitch. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the show, super sticker donation on Twitch. You could send bits. We really, really, really appreciate that. All right, Taylor, listen. Where we getting started? We got a list of some very, very interesting topics today.
Yes.
You are the lady. Listen, is it still? Can I still say ladies first, or am I going to be a sexist for saying ladies? Is that okay, Taylor? Ladies first.
You know what? When it comes to me, I do not subscribe to all of that nonsense. Like I
Thank
call
you.
that's the new F word in my opinion, and I do not subscribe to it. So by all means, hold the door open for me.
Yes,
Ladies first.
and and
Do the sidewalk test, all of that.
I'll tell you why I'm not a sexist. I'll tell you why, Taylor. Because let's start with our first story. I was reading about Neve Campbell,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was
Okay.
hot. I was hot. I mean, this is a woman. Let's face it. There are 3 faces. Tell me if you disagree with this, Taylor. There are
Mhm.
3 faces to the Scream franchise:
Mhm.
David Arquette, Courtney Cox, Neve Campbell. Right or wrong?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
true.
Been in all 5 movies. As far as I'm concerned, you can't do a film without any one of them. But now Scream 6 is about to come out, and now we're getting the news that Neve Campbell is not in the film, and I am very upset with this, especially the reason why she cited. So get into that a little, Taylor. Let's discuss this.
Oh, you're going to get me in trouble, Vince. You are going to get me in trouble. So I hope people are ready for this because I don't think people are going to be expecting what I have to say. So I am a big believer in things are not always what they appear to be. Things are not always as they seem. And you have a media that's brainwashing people for generations to believe a certain way, even if that's not the real reality. It's the reality that they want you to believe. Okay. So that's my personal philosophy. And when it comes to the Scream franchise, Neve Campbell is, in fact, the quote unquote final girl. Okay. She is basically what the whole series is based around, besides, Ghostface. Now, here's the thing. I am absolutely heartbroken. What does that say?
That says Luke Balick. Thank you very much, Luke, with a $1.99 donation. Thank you, Luke. The Last of Us is greater than The Walking Dead. Not even close. We're going to get into that later on in the show. Yeah, Luke, thank you very much. But let's stick with Scream now. Go ahead.
Okay. So, here's the thing. Like, a lot of people are really upset because you can't have a Scream movie without the final girl, Neve Campbell. She is one of the only survivors that was a main target of, I keep trying to say Scarface, but it's Ghostface, okay? But here's the thing that you have to flip that on its head a little bit to kind of get some perspective. Every Ghostface has been different. They have all had a different motive, but they have all been somehow linked to one another. Okay. And so that leaves the possibility that you don't necessarily need to have Neve Campbell in the movie to continue the franchise. So that's point one I want to make. Point two, as an additional follow-up, we don't know for sure the true reason why she's not in the film. We only get her side of the story. We don't have anything from the studio. We don't have a copy of the budgeting breakdown or the marketing breakdown. And when you look at the amount of people that are going to be in this movie, it is a lot. You have the return of Hayden Panettiere after her reprisal from Scream 4. You still have Courtney Cox in this. You still got Jenna Ortega. You've got a whole bunch of new group that survived Scream 5 who are now going to be in Scream 6, and they're leaving Woodsboro to try to start a new chapter in their lives. And obviously it doesn't go as well. And some actors that have already filmed scenes for Scream 6 and talking about Scream 6, they're telling you that it's going to be the goriest, most intense, violent Scream that we have seen thus far. And for a slasher film, that's promising an awful lot. So I hope that they deliver, because this is such an iconic slasher series for horror fans. So when you think about how much they're promising to deliver, you have to factor in that's a lot of special effects, that's a lot of stunt doubles, that's a lot of CGI, that's a lot of editing and post-production. All of that stuff costs a lot of money. And Scream 5 was not the most profitable in the series. The one that made the most money was, in fact, Scream 1. A lot of people don't seem to realize that Scream 4 made the least amount of money in the whole franchise.
Taylor, I'm throwing a red flag here.
Okay.
I'm throwing a flag, Taylor.
Go for it.
We got the Super Bowl coming Sunday. This is the first flag, Taylor.
All right, bring it, because I got more.
I'm going to tell you what I think is going on here. Now, Taylor said that we are only hearing Neve's side of the story. Neve is saying what she has brought to this franchise. Five movies. Taylor, how many years has this been over? What
25.
25 years, 5 movies. She's been in every one of them. Mm-hmm. So Neve is saying what she has brought to the franchise. What they offered her monetarily, she had a problem with. Mm-hmm. She thought she was worth much more than they offered. She declined the role based on what they were going to pay her. She made the comment that she felt that if she were a man in the same position, she would have got paid a lot more. Here's the red flag I'm throwing. Mm-hmm. Here's why I think she did not do Scream 6. Courtney Cox is in Scream 6. Now, Taylor, you and I both know Courtney Cox ain't coming cheap. Listen,
no.
The money Courtney Cox makes on Friends residuals alone, she don't need to be doing Scream 6. Like, trust me, Courtney Cox is loaded. So Courtney Cox has signed on for Scream 6. She's going to be in it, which means they paid Courtney Cox. I promise you the issue here is they probably did not offer Neve Campbell what they paid Courtney Cox. Because let me tell you something, you were not getting Courtney Cox cheap. And if it was cheap, she would have turned down the role. The fact that she's doing it means they paid her a lot of money. If you're asking me, does Neve Campbell have the career of a Courtney Cox? Absolutely not. But when it comes to this franchise, their value is equal. So if you ask me, well, you're doing the scrunchy nose. I'm gonna hear you. If you ask me, I think she should have been worth every penny that Courtney Cox was worth in this film. She did not get paid the same amount. That's why she turned it down. I think she got shortchanged. What do you think about that, Taylor?
I disagree. Respectfully, that's what discourse is all about, polite discourse. I disagree. Here's the thing. Neve Campbell, despite the fact that she is very central and important, an integral part of this franchise, she's not Courtney Cox, okay? Courtney Cox brings a wider variety of an audience to the franchise. How much limelight has Neve Campbell gotten outside of Catwalk?
Wild things.
Wild things, yeah.
What young teenage boy ever forgot about Wild Things, no. Taylor?
But she was nominated for a Family Award for something that she was on. And then obviously she played a very important role in Catwalk. But the point is people know Courtney Cox. I mean, she was getting paid at least $1 million per episode later on Friends. Yeah. So we have to allow for differences in range, differences in career limelight, differences in what those people bring to the role. And honestly, if you feel disrespected, you can try to A, negotiate, which we don't know if she did. B, you can choose to look at it a different way. You can either choose to look at it as, I feel undervalued on set, or you can look at it as, I am taking one for the team. I am taking a pay cut so that we can have more newer characters in this, so that we can do a continuation of Scream, keep the franchise alive and well with a new generation. And therefore, I still get the rub off of it because I still get to be an integral role, an integral part with all of these new characters coming on. There are so many different ways to look at it. But no matter which way you slice it, Vince, Neve Campbell is not Courtney Cox. I'm
going to push back a little.
Okay.
I'm going to push back a little, Taylor. This doesn't mean I love you any less. You got to know that up front. I'm pushing back a little. Taylor, this is Scream 6.
Yep.
If you're going to see this movie, you're buying into the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
There is nobody going to see this movie because Courtney Cox is in it. Absolutely not. There are going to be no new viewers to this film because Courtney Cox is a part of this film. They are going to see the franchise. So I agree with you without a shadow of a doubt. Courtney Cox is the bigger star, but I think we are well past the point that Courtney Cox would be a draw to have people lay down their money because she's in a picture. They're paying for the Scream name.
But that's what they always do. You see this in wrestling, you see this at Comic Cons, you see this in football, you see this everywhere. Not everybody has the Tom Brady mentality where he always got paid less on the Patriots so that they could have more people come in for him to utilize as the quarterback. Not other quarterbacks are not willing to do that. So all I am saying is Neve Campbell had two choices. She either did what she did, which was turn down the offer, or she could have gone more of a Tom Brady route and taken the pay cut so there could be a further continuation within the budget. Because like you said, Courtney Cox isn't cheap. If they already paid Courtney Cox, but you still want to be a part of the franchise, you can take one for the team or not. She chose not to. And the newer characters...
You also have to look at the reality of the situation. Listen, I'm definitely in camp Neve on this one, but I
am too.
I hear what you're saying, but think about this for a second, Taylor. How many paydays has Neve Campbell have, and does she really have in her? Every time she gets a role or a film, she probably needs to make X amount of dollars. Neve Campbell does not have Courtney Cox's bank account. So for Neve Campbell to say, oh, no, I'll take less so you can add more actors, you know, these roles for Neve Campbell, man, you know, later on in her career have really, come few and far between. I think it's a matter of she needs to make the money.
Here's the thing though, Vince, like what you're saying is technically not wrong, but you have to learn how to take one on the chin and get back up. It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how you keep getting back up. It's that Rocky mentality. Okay. And if what you're saying is true, she doesn't have as many paydays coming, she's not as wealthy as Courtney Cox. That's not Courtney Cox's fault. Courtney Cox worked for her money. So Neve Campbell is not entitled to Courtney Cox's money. So here's the thing. If what you're saying is correct and her opportunities are fewer and farther between, then learn how to take one on the chin and get back up. Because if you play ball, you're going to have more opportunities in screen, i.e., more opportunities in the latter part of your career. If you want to stay true to the franchise, you find a way to make it happen. Say she got paid $50,000. Where else is Neve Campbell going to get paid $50,000 if she doesn't have another role? That's $50K in the pocket. Okay. Now I'm just throwing out a random number. Obviously, I don't know what she was paid. But then you also have her saying that she thinks it's because that she's not a man and that potentially she would have been paid more if she was a man. I hate hearing this because there is gender gaps in pay that affect both sides. Like in wrestling, men on the indies get paid far less. They get paid like a third of what women pay. For example, I have seen 10-plus-year male veterans on the independent wrestling scene getting paid $50, right? And then a girl that's barely been in there for 2 years is getting paid $150 to $250. They're barely getting a third of what that girl is. But you have to stop and ask yourself, who's bringing in more eyeballs? And that starts to affect the pay. And then when you flip the script and you go onto television, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, the men are making a lot more than the women. But when you look at the analytics, with the exception of Roman Reigns, The Rock, John Cena, and a few other men, other than them, a lot of times the women are drawing more numbers than the men on television, but they get paid only a fraction of what the men do. So you can't always say it's a gender issue. There's so many other existential factors that factor into this, is my point.
Okay, but this is where she may be coming from. I want to throw this out there too. Jeff desperately is trying to get on the show.
Okay.
Desperately. Jeff said there's a C theory. You can't say that word. You know what a C theory is? You're not allowed to say that word.
I don't know what that is.
A C theory. C theory.
You got it.
You can't say that word. There's a C theory that it's all a swerve and Neve Campbell's character will be the killer. What about that?
I did actually think of that, and that's a great way to continue the franchise because every killer has been linked in one way or another from one film to the next. It's never been the same Ghostface. That's why they can continue all these films over 25 years. It's also why they can introduce new characters like this, and it keeps it going. So why can't it be Neve Campbell? Or what if they kill off Courtney Cox in this one and give Neve Campbell an even bigger reason to try to end the Ghostface like hysteria once and for all? There's so many possibilities.
I want to bring up the men-woman thing because here's where I think that has come from. You know, Neve, I think what's happening here is she's trying to be it's not that she's trying to be politically correct. These are her friends. So I don't think she's really coming out and saying it. She wants us to read between the lines, and I'm reading between the lines. Now, you made the comparison between, Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox, and you're right. There's no comparison. Absolutely not, without a shadow of a doubt. However, is she looking at what David Arquette is getting paid for this film? Now, I would say career-wise, David Arquette, probably had a more similar career to that of Neve Campbell. Are they both just as important to this franchise? Should Arquette be making more than Neve Campbell? Because again, what she's saying, I guarantee you they offered him more than her. What do you think about that?
Well, statistically, male-led films usually do better in the box office. I don't think that this is sexist. I don't think it's a gender issue. I just really can't stand when people try to make it a gender issue. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're getting paid less than a man, and just because you're a woman doesn't mean a man is your enemy. Like we need to get rid of these ideas that are being brainwashed into people's heads and then make them trend and make them famous for toxicity. It's just maddening. It's bizarre. It's awful.
I agree with you with that 1000%. They tried to make, Harry Styles had a very innocent comment at the Grammys that they tried to turn into, you know what I'm talking about. But in this case, I don't think that's what she's doing here. I really don't. I believe David Arquette got paid more money than she did. And in this case, I think she is just as valuable to the franchise as he is. So I agree with what you're saying 1,000,000%, but I think in this case, I'm siding with her.
Yeah, I don't disagree with her that when you feel undervalued on set and when you feel like you're somehow less than other people on the set when you've been such an integral part for 25 years, 5 films, 3 that were the amazing legend that is Wes Craven. Okay, that's a big deal. Like, I would have killed to have been a part of a Wes Craven franchise. Like, that he is a legend. Okay, so I don't disagree with Neve Campbell that she should be paid more than whatever she was offered, because Neve Campbell has never been a controversial person. So this is a point I wanted to make earlier. She's never been a controversial, woke person. She's always just been who she is, take it or leave it. And I love that energy. So if she's saying that she was given a unpalatable, less than desirable offer, I'm inclined to believe her. I don't subscribe to the believe all women thing, but I am inclined to believe Neve Campbell because she's never given me a reason to disbelieve anything that she has said or done. She has a good quality of work. She holds herself and carries herself very well. She's been very loyal to the franchise. My only gripe is the comparison to potentially if I was a man, I would have been paid more, because you don't know. Yeah. If it was a nobody that no one knew and it was a dude as a lead, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be getting Neve Campbell money. He wouldn't be getting David Arquette money. He wouldn't be getting Courtney Cox money. Yeah. So I just think I would have been totally fine if she would have left the comment as is, but that's nitpicking. You can't control the words that people say, just like the Harry Styles incident at the Grammys. It's neither here nor there.
Luke Balick with another $1.99 super sticker. Neve leaving Scream is greater than Kevin Costner leaving a Yellowstone. I want to put a good-looking chap. Luke's got a picture of himself. Good looking chap there, Luke. Luke, thank you very much. I want to remind everybody, listen, if you're enjoying the show, please, guys, feel free to send donations, super stickers. You can send bits on Twitch, whatever you like. All right, let's move on to the next story because
I want to tell them one thing real quick, Vince, because I actually found out about this right before this episode, and I think maybe a lot of people don't know. The actual Scream house from Scream is located in California, in Northern California, not far from Wine Country, and you can actually take a guided tour of the Scream house.
That's cool.
And you can have a wine tasting at the actual Scream house where they filmed Scream. I don't know how many people don't know that. I did not, so I want to throw that out there for anyone listening.
Cool. All right, guys, I want to bring in this statistic.
All right,
especially for those wrestling fans watching this show.
Oh, I know where we're heading.
Let me talk to the wrestling fans listening to this show, because guys, I have said again and again and again and again and again, when I hear about the booming success of AEW, my question always is, what are we talking about here? Because I equate success to television viewers. How many people are watching your product? That's what I equate success to. Now, when AEW started, Taylor, in October of 2019, October, the very first show drew 1.4 million people. The very first show. We are 3.5 years in, and this company rarely breaks 1 million viewers. To me, that is not growth. And I don't care how no, bro, you're not growing your fan base. Now, let me explain to you what a successful franchise looks like. And also, Taylor, I'm the first to say, we talked about this. I'm not a fan of this show. This show is not for me. But I want to show you guys, this is what I mean by growing an audience. What's the name of the show again? The
Last of Us.
Last of Us. Now, guys, keep in mind, this is on HBO. This ain't free TV. You're paying to watch this. This ain't free. For all you wrestling fans out there that always want to argue with me. Taylor, week 1. Episode 1, 4.7 million viewers.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Episode 2, 5.7 million viewers. Okay. Episode 3, 6.4 million viewers. Episode 4, 7.5 million viewers. That is success, bro. Not we do 1.4 million viewers 3.5 years ago, and we've yet to top that. This is success. 4.7, 5.7, 6.4, 7.5. And Taylor, here's the thing. What is growing this audience? Word of mouth. What is growing this audience? A good, consistent show every single week. This is the blueprint of a successful television show. Agree or disagree?
I agree. I think the whole wrestling industry could take some notes. I mean, it's really sad that the WWE at one point was beating the NFL and was the #1 watch show on television. And now we barely hit 1 and 2 million. I think every televised company, with the exception of New Japan, correct me if I'm wrong, they've all experienced a massive decrease in viewerships. Like you said, AEW is barely getting 1 million. Raw flirts between, just under 1 million and between 1 and 2 million. Impact is barely, I think, barely between 100,000 to 200,000. I mean, when I was on Impact, they were drawing about 1 million.
We were drawing 2 million as TNA back in the day.
Yeah. So there's been a huge, every single televised company, I think, except New Japan, has literally seen a massive drop. So they can take huge notes, because if you think about it, the first episode, people were tuning in to see if they were going to mess up their beloved game, right? Like, gamers are very loyal to their favorite games. And if you're going to turn it into a franchise of a film, television series, or whatever, you better do it right, or they're going to come calling, basically. They're very savage with that. So if you think about it, every person that tuned into the first episode of Last of Us, if they only paid $1, which we know HBO Max is way more than that, that's $4.7 million just on episode 1. Okay, 4.7 million. Now we know it's way more than that, because all of those people pay for HBO Max. So that, say, $16 times 4.7 million. Yeah. That's a lot. And AEW's television deal is very, very different than WWE's television deal. So it's like, they need to understand what the modern television viewer wants. You need to be, like you said, you need to bring in new viewers. If you're not bringing in casual viewers, then eventually your cost, your overhead is going to be way higher than the return on your investment. And that's terrible business. Yeah.
Tell us this. I gotta read this. I gotta read this, because I'm saying to myself, brother, what's going through your mind? We got a comment from Revamped Wrestling 2K.
Okay.
And this comment concerns you. Okay.
Oh, okay.
He says Taylor is going to be a sweet grandma when she ages. I see it. Tell her, how is this guy looking at Taylor and thinking that one day you're going to be a sweet girl? I had to read that. That just kind of.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Well,
I hope I am blessed to be a grandma. I really do.
Especially when you're reading your grandchildren your books, right? We're going to read them to the grandkids. Yeah, that's funny, man. That popped me. Okay, Taylor, what do we? Okay, you got more on this topic?
Just one thing. Anybody that's watching right now, I want to remind you guys, we mentioned the Super Bowl earlier in the episode. So I'm going to throw a flag real quick and get you guys to remind you that the episode 5 is the latest episode for Last of Us. And that is not going to air as it was originally supposed to because of the Super Bowl. So if you want to watch episode 5 of The Last of Us, it's actually airing tonight at 9 p.m. on HBO Max instead of on its Sunday slot. It did not want to compete with the NFL. So make sure you guys mark that down tonight at 9 p.m. HBO Max is episode 5 of Last of Us. I
got to ask you this, Tal. I don't want to get. We'll eventually get into this conversation. I just want to throw this out there because the new season just started yesterday. Are you a fan of You on Netflix?
I have never seen it. I'm a hipster, so I don't like to watch like super popular stuff until after it's not popular.
You gotta watch it. My daughter's a hipster, but she loves the show.
Okay.
The new season started yesterday, guys. Phenomenal show on Netflix. I think this is the 4th season now. Great, phenomenal show. All right, what's next on our list?
Since we're speaking of numbers, maybe we should go ahead to the Disney Plus drop.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Apparently, for anybody that does not know, Disney lost an insane amount of subscribers, actually tallying above 2.4 million. They discussed this loss on their quarter hearing.
Hold on for a second before you go right over that. You just broke this down before, bro. Like HBO, $16, whatever it is. When you multiply 2.4 million people by what, $15 a month? We're talking a lot of money, Taylor. A lot of money. So go ahead.
Buku bucks.
a lot of money. More than Neve Campbell money. A lot of money.
Yes.
Go ahead, Taylor.
Yes, Vince. Like if you're a CEO of a company and you have to get on a call, a quarter call with your shareholders and have to explain to them why you lost 2.4 million subscribers, that is a hot seat if I have ever heard of one.
Yes.
And I am actually a shareholder for Disney. So I was definitely not happy with this news whatsoever. And what was very interesting is how he tried to negate the fact that they lost 2.4. He did not really want to necessarily take responsibility. And there seemed to be a lot of skirting around and dancing around the fact that 2.4 million people said, bye-bye, Disney Plus. Now, there could be a lot of reasons, Vince. We're in the midst of a recession, whether people want to buy that or not. We have people trying to cut down on expenses, trying to downgrade their lifestyle so that they're not going bankrupt, trying to live paycheck to paycheck. You also have a lot of people reacting to woke content, which we can definitely dive into in a minute because it's totally relevant. And then he tried to use sports as one of the main drop-off reasons because in the US and Canada, I believe they don't really have sports for Disney Plus. But if you start going into their India and Asia market, they just lost, I believe, cricket on Disney Plus, and that cricket is huge out there. Like it's a part of their culture.
Yeah, that could be that makes sense. That is huge. Yes,
it does. It's like lucha libre in Mexico. Like that is so ingrained. It's like going to church, so the fact that they lost that, right? Then they have the reaction to a ton of woke content. Then they have the rising cost of ad-free streaming. Now they did give you an ad version that was very, very cost efficient, but then you have the ads instead of the ad-free. Plus they got rid of some content off of their platform, and the only real major star that they have coming to the platform after they got rid of some stuff is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So that's going to have to pick up the slack until the next season of Loki comes out and a lot of other Marvel and Star Wars stuff that really takes the brunt of this. So there was a huge loss And it was just very interesting how he was trying to skirt that, and then in the midst of trying to skirt that responsibility of the huge drop off, then he lays the gem down. He throws down the hammer that they're going to lay off over 7,000 employees, and it's the first major drop off since they opened in 2019.
But Taylor, speak a little about, yeah, I read this, you sent me all this great information, and I read this and I'm just like, really, bro? Listen, I got two grandkids. And Amelia is my oldest granddaughter. She's 3 years old. Disney Plus is on all the time. The time. So then, and I had no idea about this. Talk about this Baymax for a little bit, because I'm thinking of my granddaughter that Disney is always on in the background, and then I'm reading this and I'm like, really, bro? So talk a little bit, and I want to get your thoughts on this.
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts, so I hope I don't ramble too much, because I'm a former preschool teacher. Okay, like I legit took care of my specialty was 2.8 through 3. So my job was to get kids that are 2.8, just under 3 years old, all the way through 3 till they turned 4. My job was to make sure that they were ready to go to the 4-year-old classroom. I was teaching your kids how to be fully potty trained, even though that was not my job. I had to teach your kids how to write their names, how to properly hold a utensil. Like, hi, my name is Ava. That starts with the letter A. My favorite is an apple, which also starts with the letter A. Like, I love 3 and 4-year-olds. It's such a wonderful age. And so to understand from a parent perspective what's going on in a teacher perspective, it's very, very difficult. I never understood why my mom was so strict with what music I would listen to and what shows I would watch and stuff. I never understood. I now understand.
Yeah. Let me read Luke's comment. Luke, thank you very much. $4.99 from Luke. Thank you very much, Luke.
Bye.
The only reason I have Disney Plus is because it's bundled with Hulu, and the only reason I have Hulu is for live hockey. Disney Plus relies on The Mandalorian.
Yeah, not just The Mandalorian, though, Luke. It's also the Marvel content. The Marvel and the Star Wars stuff is huge. Those are the main hitters that carry the brunt of everything else for Disney. If they didn't have those, it would be even worse. And shout out for hockey. I love hockey. Boston Bruins fan, Cam Neely, my favorite player. Love him. Love hockey. Okay, so
yeah, tell me about this. Tell me about this Baymaxy.
Okay, Baymax was the robot bubble character from Big Hero 6, which I really actually liked that movie, Big Hero 6. I thought it was super, super cute. It almost made you tear up a little bit in certain parts. It had a lot of really good life lessons in it and morale and all of that. Well, this character, I guess, is helping another character shop for feminine hygiene products. I'm trying to put this in a very politically correct way. If I fail at that, I'm sorry. I don't think politically correct even knows politically correct anymore. And so they're going through an aisle, and
I'm reading it.
Okay.
I'll take the heat off.
Okay.
There's lots of backlash over the woke content the past few months, including this is what Taylor cannot say, but I will. Last summer, when animated kid series Baymax featured a transgender character buying tampons at a supermarket. In the controversial episode, Baymax is browsing the menstrual product aisle at a supermarket on behalf of a 12-year-old girl when he asks his fellow shoppers for help. One of those customers is a trans man wearing a transgender flag shirt who hands him a box of pads and tells the robot, I always get the ones with the wings. That's
okay. I didn't know if it was a trans man or trans woman that said the part, I always get the one with the wings. That's why I was like, I don't want to misspeak because I will be canceled for that, even though it's an honest mistake. So first off, I'm like, why is this in a kid's show? Number two, why can't we just let kids be kids? Let a kid be a kid. Now, also on the flip side of this, maybe there's an educational aspect to this if you want to dig super deep into that black hole, because girls earlier and earlier now are getting to that hormonal point, and it's really scary. You have 7-year-olds starting, which before you used to be in your early to mid-teens, like back in the day. But you can thank, you know, all the hormones in the foods, all the steroids in the foods, in the sunscreens, and the chemicals in your water. All of that is making girls develop younger and faster. And so this might sort of be educational, but I really don't think it is. And I think this is something that a parent should be having a conversation with their young kid about.
Yep.
You know, I knew about this stuff when I was 5, because my mom wanted me to hear all of this stuff from her before I entered, you know, public school as a kindergartner. That might seem young, but you have no idea what your kid is getting exposed to when you're not around. So
Right.
it's best that it come from you first instead of some other kid or some other person trying to groom your kid. Like, I just think let kids be kids. Let them play with Tonka trucks. Let them get dirty in the sandbox. Let them play with Barbies. Like, we went from, oh, Barbie gives bad self-image to young girls, to then it was, oh, it's you're teaching girls bad values because there's a love story in a Disney movie. And now all of a sudden we have this. I'm like, where does the buck stop? Like,
Yeah.
just let them have romance stories in Disney movies. Like, Disney never hurt anybody with its original stories. Like, who got hurt in Snow White? Please tell me who got mentally abused from watching something like Snow White or Peter Pan. Like, just let kids be kids. Like,
You know what it is, Taylor? I'm just reading this. Listen, I've never watched it. I'm never going to watch it. But just by reading this, to me, it's like it's just so forced.
mm-hmm.
It is forced upon you, whether you want it or not. Now, if it's something that naturally comes across in a story, like, okay, but this is not naturally.
Mm-mm.
This is just being forced, and I just think at times it's just like too much. Like, literally, if it's organic, that's one thing. This is beating you over the head with it.
It is. I think it's beyond beating us over the head with it. I think it's not soft and gentle. I'll say
No.
that, you know, and there's clearly an agenda behind it. And just stop. Like, children are the future, and I think that's why we're seeing this happen. And it's very, very scary, because if they get away with this, then what's next? And what's next? Like I said, where does the buck stop? Like, there was an issue with Barbie. Okay, there's an issue if, you know, there's an issue with everything. I think we're seeing the result of the generation that didn't set up healthy boundaries for their kids and show their kids that there's consequences to their actions. Like, I think we're seeing the results of the go stand in the corner and think about what you did generation, because this is just out of control. And every single time someone, whether it be at a company or whatever, panders to woke ideologies, they seem to get hit really hard, and then they try to justify it and act like it's a different reason as to why they got hit so hard. But it's like, no, you pandered, you gambled, and it didn't work out. Take accountability for it and adjust accordingly. But we're not living in a society anymore that holds people accountable for their actions. And we're seeing this with how much money Disney has lost, not just from their loss of subscribers. I'm also talking about some of their movies over the last like 20 years that lost majorly from pandering, basically. Turning Red was a huge flop for Disney in 2022. That lost millions, and each one of these films lost more than $140 million. That's not chump change, guys. This is buku bucks. They had 4 films that lost more than $140 million. So here we go. Turning Red in 2022, Jungle Cruise in 2021, Mars Needs Moms in 2011, and Mulan all lost anywhere from 141 to 168 million dollars. That's a total of over 571 million. Now you got that hit. Now you got 2.4 million subscribers leaving the platform. This This is
That's
no joke. And now you have
uh,
7,000 people losing their jobs. But no,
that's
everybody wants to blame Disney CEOs for that. Nobody wants to stop and think, well, all the pressure to pander is part of the reason why a lot of these big losses happen. So maybe society is the problem and not necessarily the CEOs or the CMOs and the CFOs and all of that. Like, start taking accountability. There's a reason why Google had to lay off over 10,000. There's a reason why all of these
yeah.
people are getting laid off.
Taylor, it's funny because, like, seriously, man, now that you're laying all this out with all these great statistics, somebody tweeted online the other day, bro, and I didn't connect the dots. Now I'm really connected the dots. They were at Walt Disney World. It was empty. That's a reflection. That is a direct reflection on this. Listen, I don't care what time of year you would go to Walt Disney World. It would never, ever be empty. And they showed the streets. I think it's called Downtown USA, whatever it's called. Nobody was on the streets.
Ooh, that's so bad.
That is an exact correlation as this. The mother puts on the TV. Here's Baymax. Maybe we won't go to Disney World this year. So a ripple effect. I would love to know. Maybe we can get this data next week. And you are a shareholder. Has the stock really fallen?
Boop, boop, boop. It was doing the exact same thing that WWE was when we saw the exit of Vince McMahon.
Right.
While he was away from the company and there was a different regime takeover, the stock was volatile. It was but it never hit a huge spike. It was always and then all of a sudden Vince McMahon comes back and then the stock goes up again. And that's the same thing that I have been seeing with Disney. And to Luke's point earlier, The Mandalorian is a huge hitter, and so are all the Marvel stuff. If you got rid of that on the it would plummet like the Scream ride, or Tower of Terror.
Somebody pointed that out in the room. Like somebody pointed out they're going to come back when The Mandalorian starts up again. That's what somebody pointed out.
Yeah, and you also have to understand, like, people, the cost of living and the inflation and it's all so high. How many people can realistically take their children to Disney?
Well,
and then, it's just crazy.
This is going to go right into, because Jeff and I, we have this conversation, because we're always looking at the brand and the brand numbers. We lost last month 2.4 subscribers because of Jeff. 2.4, 2.5 people left. They couldn't take Jeff wearing the same hat on his head for 18 years. Well, we break this down all the time, Taylor, because listen, man, we have never, ever raised the price of the brand. Okay. And listen, man, because of this crunch, we've lost subscribers too. I'm not going to lie to you. Listen, man, when you got to start cutting corners, the first thing that's going to go is entertainment. That's the first thing that's going to go. But I purposely have never raised the subscription price of the brand because I'm not going to pass that along to the consumer. Where are these people supposed to get all this extra money? Everything, eggs, $5 a dozen, gas, $4 a gallon. Well, are you supposed to go in the backyard and pick the money tree? It keeps... All these expenses keep getting passed down to us. Where are you supposed to get that extra money? It drives me crazy. Yet we're being pinched here, there, and everywhere, which leads to AMC.
It does. And I do want to make a quick point. Like, this is all by design, people. Like, you have to wake up. Like, in Canada, they're forcing farms to just dump out perfectly wonderful, organic, straight from the cow milk. They only have a quota, and after that, they're not allowed to sell anything. They're literally having to pour out liquid gold. The same thing with eggs. I'm so thankful I have chickens. I love my chickens. Like, they're so cute. I love them. They follow me around like I'm a little Mama Hendrix chicken. But all of these costs and price hikes, it's all by design, because
Oh,
then you
man.
are beholden to your government, and that's what they want. Because once you're beholden to them, they have power over you. We need to start taking power back. And that also goes hand in hand with AMC as
Before
well.
we get
So.
to AMC, Ty Salt is with a $20,
Hi.
20 large, Taylor, 20 large. Thank you very much, Ty. Aim too much for the hardcores, marks, whales, video gamers who spend an insane amount of money. Wow, that's a thing, whales. Did you know that? Is that what they're called? Video gamers who spend an insane amount of money, whales?
I did not know that.
I
I
did
learned
not
something
know
new.
that. Thank you, Ty. And you don't make new fans. Aim too much for the casuals, and the hardcores will take their money with them. You need balance.
Mhm.
Ty, I got to tell you, I disagree with you. I disagree with you on that, because I really feel wrestling marks, bro, are always going to watch wrestling, man. That is what they do. You're not going to lose them, bro. I'm telling you. Listen, man. Taylor, I've been a Kiss fan since the age of 16.
Kiss Army.
Kiss Army, they've done a lot over the years that I did not agree with and had issues with, but I still consider myself a Kiss Army a fan. If they released a new album tomorrow, I would buy it. I don't think you're going to lose any wrestling marks going after the casual audience. We didn't during the Attitude Era. We obviously. So this AMC thing, Mamma Mia, Taylor, is there no end in sight?
No, there isn't. Everybody's passing the buck, and nobody is leading the charge to say enough is enough. And that's when we're going to see what's happening with AMC. We see this in wrestling, and now we're seeing it with AMC theaters. We're already seeing it with concerts. Like, you can't take your kids anywhere. You can't do anything. Not only is it barely safe, you got all of these different things. So for those of you that don't know, AMC Theaters is going to launch a pricing program called the Sightline program. And what this is going to do is basically charge you and make you pay for what type of seat you want. There are 3 tiers, and then they also have something called the AMC Stub members. So I'm not sure if that's like a membership with AMC that gives you certain perks. I had never heard of it before I did my research for this episode, but we'll break it down. So basically, they want to maximize their profits while catering to people that want to have a movie-going experience. So they're trying to act like we're charging more so you can get what you want, but it's really just a middle finger for anyone that can still afford to go to the movies. Like, I remember when I walked to my movie theater in my hometown, and it was $5.50 for a movie. Like, now it's like 20 something dollars a ticket. What they're going to do is they think it's going to help bring people back, but I think it's going to turn people off and turn them away. You're going to get lesser desired seats for a cheaper price. You're going to get your optimal seats at a cost.
Wait a minute.
And then the most popular seat.
Are you going to get them at a cheaper price or the price they are now? Like, is that price?
It said cheaper price.
I think the price you pay now.
Yeah,
from the cheap seats. But go ahead.
I think they're trying to they're basically trying to use fancy language to convince you that it's for your own good, so you can have your best experience. But it's like, no, you're just trying to take more money out of my wallet, which is ridiculous, because certain theaters get deals with movies. Like, for example, Black Adam. They were supposed to get 50% of the profits of Black Adam being in their movie theaters, but yet we have to pay more money for whatever seat we want.
And
it's
how
ridiculous.
how much you want to bet, Taylor? How much you want to bet that the cheap seats are the first 2 rows? They
are.
Come
They
on.
are, yeah. So this is
man.
called the 3 tiers. It starts this Friday, I believe, in New York City, Chicago, and Kansas City. And they said it will most likely be nationwide by the end of this year. So this is something you're going to want to know if you do want to go to the movies. Your first tier is called the Value Sightline. The seats are the front row and select ADA seats, which I don't know what that means, at a lower than standard rate. And then AMC Stub members get part of that for free. Then the second tier is your standard sightline. These are the most common seats in the movie theater, and they're going to be the traditional cost. You see the language that they're using? And then the premium is the third tier, and that's called the preferred sightline. This is going to be some of your middle seats, and the higher end up in the back seats. And these are going to be available to AMC stub members at no extra cost, and they'll be able to secure those in advance. And they haven't exactly disclosed what the rates of these tiers are going to be just
What is
yet.
this? What is this called in? What is this called in wrestling, Taylor? What a work! What a work! Listen, Reverend Buddy Green, who is a proud brand member, says AMC. I'm putting this up because this will help people. That's why I'm putting it up. AMC A-List is $23 a month.
Okay.
You could see 3 movies a week, and the seat charges do not apply to A-List members. The cheap seat is the first row. So if you guys want a savings, you might want to get that AMC A-List. And yeah, Taylor, I am just so tired of getting pinched. Everywhere you go, you are getting everywhere, man.
It's true. I do have to say, go ahead.
You know, my biggest pet peeve is, Taylor, this drives me crazy. Oh my God, Taylor, I'm addicted to coffee. Okay, that's my addiction. I never do drugs or alcohol, nothing. Caffeine, right? It drives me crazy now, Taylor. You go into any coffee shop to get a cup of coffee. First of all, a normal cup of coffee is now between $3 to $4. First of all, just coffee, just straight coffee, right? So then, Taylor, they charge you $3 or $4 for the cup of coffee. Then what do? They flip the screen around. Oh, how much you gonna leave for a tip? Like, really, bro? You went to the urn, you pull the spigot, you put coffee in my cup, and now I'm going to tip. It's out of control. Taylor, where are these people going to get all this excess money from?
They're not. That's the problem. That's why it's smart that you leave the brand price the same, because it costs more to get new viewers, new clients, new everything, as opposed to being loyal to the people that already subscribe and then enticing new ones to come in. You should never punish your loyal subscribers to gain new followers. And this is exactly what everybody's doing. Starbucks, AMC Theaters, look, my good everything.
Steve is a big brand member. Steve Soleil just came off a very successful hernia surgery. He was afraid. He was afraid he was going to die over hernia surgery.
Oh no!
Subway asks for tips. That's exactly what you're saying, Taylor. Everybody.
Yeah, it's true. I do also have to say that AMC Theaters does not charge for your seats on Tuesdays, because it's $5 all day on Tuesdays. And this seating tier price line, it applies to all shows after 4 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays.
Wait a minute. So Tuesdays at AMC is $5 all day?
Supposedly. I would love to know if that's all locations or just some.
Yeah, well, that's when you need to go to the movies then. Go to the movies on Tuesday. Yeah.
Vince, I think we have a few minutes to get in Squid Game from last week. Are you ready for that?
Yes. I'm on it right now.
Okay, so what's really funny about this is some of the former contestants are calling it Rigged Game instead of Squid Game.
Well, explain though, Taylor, because Jeff had explained this to me because I didn't realize it. I watched Squid Games on Netflix. I thought it was really, really, really good. But the Squid Games they're talking about is they kind of took the television show and parlayed it into a game show. So that's yes, Netflix created an original reality show called Squid Game: The Challenge. And they're taking elements from Squid Game, the Korean drama that was probably the single most watched original content from Netflix ever. And they took 456 contestants, and they're all competing for $4.56 million. It's the biggest prize to ever be won on a game show in the history of reality television.
And basically the qualifications were you had to be an English speaker, 21 years of age or older, and you could live basically from anywhere in the world. And you could apply on squidgamecasting.com, I believe it was. So they have been filming, and there has been a lot of controversy. Some of the people that were in Squid Game, the challenge, said that they were treated like less than extras on a movie set if they weren't a famous TikToker or IG influencer. They also said that it felt like it was rigged. So they're calling it the rigged game because they said certain people that were influencers and TikTok stars were advancing regardless of the outcome of the games, which is the complete opposite of Squid Game. And they're also saying that there was negligence about concerning safety with so many people being on set. I believe the temperatures dropped so low where they were filming in England, where the first challenge for 456 contestants was red light, green light, which was one of the first games that you saw featured in Squid Game, the TV series. Okay. And they had to film this for 9 hours outside in like 26 degrees
26,
Fahrenheit.
I'm looking right at 26
Yeah.
degrees. Wow.
And anybody that grows up in the cold and plays sports in the cold like we do on the East Coast, you know, once you stop moving, you get cold and your muscles and your ligaments and your tendons, everything tightens up. And that's how injuries happen. You have to stay moving and you have to stay loose. The reason why this is relevant is because over 9 hours outside in 26-degree England weather, they had to stay completely still for red light, green light for 30-minute intervals. After the first day, medics were required because of pneumonia, coughs, an ear infection, I believe a torn knee tendon, and something else. Like, that's pneumonia is no joke, okay? Neither is a torn tendon.
Yeah.
And so they're saying that this is a Netflix instead of Netflix because the game is a rigged game. And they're saying it's incompetency at scale. They said the trauma that they experienced was not due to the rigor of the game or even the games themselves. It was incompetency at scale and how they were treated. And one former contestant said, I quote, "The funny thing is, equality and fairness was the main theme of the original Squid Game." And so after red light, green light has officially been completed, there is now only 288 contestants out of the original 456.
Wow. That's crazy, man. Wow.
So they are pursuing potentially legal action against the production studios. I believe there's at least 2 of them involved in the making of Squid Game, the challenge.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, man. Game shows have been fixed since the beginning of time. You know, with the old famous quiz show. I mean, there's been movies made about this, and yeah, I mean, it would make sense that people with a name and people with a following are kind of getting, pushed along. I mean, that would make all the sense in the world. But yeah, man, to make people go through that type of physical rigor, standing still for 30 minutes in 26-degree temperature, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised. I'm surprised there weren't more injuries, but Netflix is denying that there was any serious injuries on set. So I think as this story continues to develop and more games happen, it's going to be interesting. But here's the thing. It does make sense, like you said, to advance certain people to get the eyeballs of their audience. I mean, WWE does this and everybody does this, right? But the thing is, if it's an actual reality show, it's supposed to not necessarily be based around your following and everything else. It's supposed to be entertainment. Like you're supposed to be competing for something.
Right,
$4.56 million.
Right.
So you would think that they would kind of level the playing field to a certain extent. But yeah, they're spending so much money on this, so they want those eyeballs in return for sure, especially because they also saw a huge decrease and they're going to see another one after they crack down on password sharing. So they're going to be desperate to recoup those losses.
Yeah. All right, man. We covered a lot of ground today, Taylor, with some great pop culture information as usual. Goes along great with her podcast, man, and everything else that she's doing. Go ahead, Taylor. Let everybody know.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the Brand Live with Vince and myself. You can catch my YouTube channel weekly. I post videos there almost every single day, youtube.com/Taeler Hendrix. We've got Motivation Mondays, Q&A Wednesdays, Fun Fact Fridays, thrift store finds, Hollywood news, box office news, all kinds of really good stuff. Every Tuesday, you have my podcast on russosbrand.com with Channel Attitude, Talks with Taeler Hendrix. And of course, you got the Brand Live with Vince and Taeler every Friday. You have my blog. Every time you read my blog, I get paid. So that's fun. I write about all kinds of things, including pop culture, trending stories, and more. Medium.com/Taeler Hendrix. And of course, you have my books. I'm an Amazon Top 100 author. If you go to amazon.com/ebooks, you can find all 4 of my children's books. It's Not Easy Being a Sloth, A Fish with a Wish is Trish, Nosy Rosie, and The Secret Surprise. And of course, The Hopeful Spider.
I swear, Taylor, you brought up something that, and I'm sure you can vouch for me on this, because we are getting pinched everywhere we go. And also, let me throw out a little helpful hint here too. That as a matter of fact, I think my good friend Reverend Buddy Green passed this along to me. Reverend Buddy lives right here in Colorado. Actually, he lives very close to me. But also, another helpful hint here, guys. If you've got a Costco by you, Taylor, you can actually get 2 dozen eggs for $5.99. So that's $3 a dozen. You go to your grocery store, it's going to be $5 and change. So guys, get your eggs at Costco. But man, one thing, Taylor, that has become so depressing to me is because we're getting pinched everywhere we go, you can't find anything at the thrift stores now. Everybody is hitting the thrift stores now, and I used to walk away with such treasures. You can't find anything. Are you running into that same issue?
I am more so running into thrift stores price hiking everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if you're going to pay a certain price, like if you can get a used car for the same price as a brand new same year car, why would you buy the used one instead of the brand new one? And it's like thrift stores aren't like understanding. It's such a short-term mindset, and we live in an instant gratification society, so I should not be surprised, but it is very annoying. I have found some really cool stuff. I like collecting vintage games and stuff like that. And vintage toys and stuff. I have a lot of fun with that. So I have been finding some good stuff. I found a Name That Tune board game recently from the 60s, and I found a Candyland from the 1940s. So I was really happy about that.
And you know what I saw? I went to this flea market type store yesterday. It's one that I frequent, and I almost bought it. I saw a Laverne and Shirley board game, and especially now since neither one is no longer with us. Cindy Williams just passed away. That would have been cool. Yeah, but Taylor, even they are jacking up the prices at thrift stores to the point of being ridiculous. Like really, like I pick up stuff and I'm like, really, like it's ridiculous. Yeah,
it's frustrating because you feel like everybody's out to get you and get your money. It's like the new boogeyman.
Absolutely. All right, well, guys, I hope here you get a little relief from life. That's what Taylor and I try to provide every week. That's what we try to provide on the brand. You can get Taylor and everybody else that comes with the brand, bro. Go to russosbrand.com. That is it, everybody. Live with Vince and Taylor. We will be back next week with a whole set of new topics. Thanks for joining us, everybody.